that's not going to work. I was trying a new camera mount, and it's obviously not going to work as I hoped. I'll take care of that tonight at camp. This is my first big multi-day camping trip with the Africa Twin, and I'm a little nervous. Got to cross the Columbia with 60-plus mile-an-hour winds ripping up the gorge, and I really don't like bridges all that much.
Hello. 2? All right. That's easy for me to count.
Me too.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Yes, you too.
Made it over, just barely. That was intense. This is the first time I'd been on this side of the river since I shot the Moscow Moto catalog a few weeks prior. No, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with them in any way, but I just wanted to take a moment to say, those are good people at Moscow. Both Pete and Ash are two souls I'm a better person for encountering in this life. I had the opportunity to work with Ashley for about 14 and a half hours straight, and she was a trooper. And both of them are absolute salt-of-the-earth, genuine human beings, living life the best they can. This is one of my favorite all-time picks. Such production and energy spent on photographing a poop trowel. Okay, camera mount finally replaced. Found a nice camp for the night. Time now to finally come down from the frantic trip here, chasing daylight and getting blown around by the wind, and get into relax mode. There was a Moon and Venus conjunction going on that night, and it was amazing to see out here. It felt like a welcoming, and it put new energy on the rest of the trip and region. Day 2, and I'm up heading north towards Mount Rainier, taking the back roads and passing through the Gifford-Pinchot area around Cispus Creek. I used to ride my then-new YZWR 250 up there. Let me tell you what, that area has some of the best riding anywhere with some pretty intense trails. Search Gifford-Pinchot Boundary Trail on YouTube and you'll see what I mean. This is an amazing area, and it was good being back here after so long. Lots of good memories. Mount Rainier, a place that should be on everyone's bucket list. Where both delicate and imposing beauty are on display around every turn. I saw someone on the side of the road at the top of the pass who appeared to be lost or at least stressed, and I couldn't get them out of my mind. Luckily, I ran into this guy. They were an older couple who got separated from each other.
Are you waiting for somebody on a blue bike? That's my wife. I'm 3, right? 3 girls there? Uh-oh. So I just picked up, there's that car. Okay. That's 250. 1,000. Yeah, they just came out with it a couple of years ago. It's been great. All right. Good luck to you.
The mountain itself has many names: Rainier, Tahoma, Taquoma, and is the crown jewel of the Cascades. Mount Rainier was the 4th national park in the U.S., established in March of 1899. History both recent and ancient are on display pretty much everywhere you look. The mountain itself is massive, one of the largest in the world as far as sheer size, with a prominence larger than that of K2, the world's 2nd highest mountain. Starting at basically sea level, by prominence, Mount Rainier is the 21st largest mountain in the world. Only a few hundred meters keep it from being in the top 10. It's a big mountain, and pictures do not do it or the area justice. It's the most heavily glaciated peak in the lower 48, containing more water than all of the other mountains in the Cascade Range combined, making it one of the most beautiful as well as dangerous mountains in the country. Time to head back towards Mount Adams and St. Helens and find a place to camp for the night. I just happened to come across a mostly forgotten road. It was closed years ago due to a washout about 10 miles down, effectively making it a road to nowhere. This section of the road has no spurs coming off of it, so no one uses the intact portion for anything. The old gate was actually open, so I decided to check it out. I'm really glad I did. It was a fantastic ride, paved the whole way. There was a nice camp spot at the very end near the washout, so I decided to make camp there. It felt weird to camp by a paved road, but this was really the only spot available, and I had faith I'd be left alone. As soon as I stopped, the mosquitoes were on me and out in force. I have to say, I'm not a fan. I also want to take a moment here to point something out. Don't let gear hold you back from taking your trip. I was still using my homemade saddlebag setup I created from some bicycle panniers I got for $60. I combined them with backpack covers and lashed extra bags to the outside of the panniers and covered them with the backpack covers. And you know what? They worked out just fine. They got me where I wanted to go with zero issues. I took a quick walk down to the very end of the road to the washout. One culvert was still intact, but everything after that was gone. It's been a long day. Time for some dinner and shut-eye. We have a big day planned for tomorrow. What a beautiful morning. The sights and smells on our road to nowhere were unequaled, and I took in as much of it and the solitude as I could. This little road was an absolute gem. Easy to ride and easy on the eyes. There's the gate. I eventually found myself back on the original network of roads heading towards the eastern flank of Mount St. Helens. At this time, it had been over 38 years since the eruption, and the devastation was still incredible to see and witness. The capability of nature is on full display here. It's almost unimaginable the power it took to destroy this entire forest in a matter of moments. I'll never forget watching the eruption as a kid with my grandfather, repeatedly saying he was so grateful to have lived long enough to witness this. It was a special moment. A couple hundred years ago, map makers thought Mount St. Helens must be the largest mountain in the Cascades with a height of over 18,000 feet. The mountain itself was broad with an extreme year-round snowpack, making it look larger than it actually was. It was also quite easy to see the base of the mountain from the south and west, so its location was easy to plot on a map. But what about Mount Adams? I don't see Adams on this map. What reinforced the thought of St. Helens' lofty elevation was when the mountain was viewed from somewhere like the Yakima Valley, it looked equally as imposing, 100 or so miles to the east, so it must be huge. However, when viewing the mountain from the east, people were actually looking at Mount Adams, an even larger and taller mountain than St. Helens, essentially on the same latitude as Mount St. Helens, just 37 miles further east. Mount Adams is a much larger mountain with a similar shape and build. However, it's difficult to see both mountains at the same time, especially from the Columbia River area. Therefore, Mount Adams was left off many maps from that era, making it the Forgotten Mountain. So there you go, a little useless information. However, as you can probably tell, I just love stuff like that. I find stuff like that fascinating. You can see Adams waving to us off to the east there. Time to see what there is to explore and check out around here in the monument and surrounding area. There's Spirit Lake. You can see how the entire north side of the mountain collapsed into the lake itself. It was the largest landslide in recorded history, and it completely displaced the lake and even caused a wave of water to rush up the surrounding mountains over 850 feet in height. Those logs in the lake were brought down from that wave. They're like floating nomads traveling around the lake with the wind. One day they'll be on the north side, next on the south, and so on. The lake is also home to some monster trout. However, the mystery is they grow extremely fast and get very big, but only live about half as long as they should. That's weird. I found an old, paved, unused road that has been closed for years due to a washout. In fact, it's the other end of the road we camped on last night. I wonder if we can see where our campsite was. There's some big country back in here. This was once a viable main road used to access the mountain, but it appears it was deemed too expensive to fix and maintain as the area is prone to landslides, so it's been left to go back to nature. You can totally see the line of the border between the monument and the National Forest land. Everything to the left is National Monument and has been left alone to recover naturally. Everything to the right is National Forest. That's pretty wild. Let's see how far we can make it down this road. Last night's camp looks to be about 7 miles down. Can we make it all the way to the washout? I just love exploring the world like this. Here's the washout. Yeah, that's a showstopper. I can see why the Forest Service just left it. While recording this narration, I decided to check the current status of the road, and it looks as though they might have finally fixed it. That's too bad. I like my roads to nowhere. There's our camp, just on the other side of those trees. There's something about old roads. They just make me happy. There's even an old interpretive center back here, just left in place. Back on the main road again, you can see how unstable this area really is, with everything slowly but constantly sliding down the mountainside. It's amazing these roads last as long as they do. All that destruction and all this growth has overwhelmed my senses, and the energy of the place is beginning to have its way with my emotions. Such raw beauty with the power of nature on display everywhere I look. Plus, it almost feels like I have it all to myself, hardly ever seeing anyone except at the bigger destinations, with roads just beckoning to be ridden. Time to head back towards town with a quick stop at the cafe for some dinner and some fuel at the gas station, and it's on to find a place to stay for the night. The energy of the day definitely carried over to the discovery of my camp for the night, with the majesty of nature on full display. This truly is one of the world's special places. The silence here pretty much tells the whole story. I don't know, pretty cool. some big trees. It's day 4 and time to explore the immediate area proper. I came up here to scout the area for future trips, and the area didn't disappoint. The region is riddled with old roads and trails, with epic camping sites and great riding pretty much everywhere you look. I stopped back at the cafe for lunch and ran into a group of Africa twins. It was good to see some familiar faces. After getting fuel, I went back into the mountains and explored even further, finding exactly what I was looking for. For some reason, I didn't film much, but I ended up making camp down low along a little creek. It was a brutally hot night. Probably should have camped a little higher in elevation. The next morning, it was time to start heading south again, back towards Oregon and Mount Hood. However, I've definitely fallen in love with this area. There's something about it. It speaks to my heart. I've decided to take the long way around back to Oregon along the Columbia River Gorge, stopping by Stonehenge along the way. It was built by Sam Hill, yes, that's Sam Hill, and dedicated on July 4th, 1918, as a memorial for those who died in World War I. At the beginning of the trip, I crossed into Washington over the Hood River Bridge, and the winds were howling at over 60 miles an hour at times. It was an extremely intense ride. Plus, that bridge is nothing but metal grates, and you can actually see the river right below you. So with that and those winds on a fully loaded big bike, it felt super sketchy. It was actually one of the scariest things I've ever done on a bike, and I've done a lot of scary things. However, this trip over the river at the Dalles was smooth as glass, something I'll keep in mind for the future. I'm now back in Oregon and on the historic Columbia River Highway. Originally constructed between 1913 and 1922, this 75-mile stretch of road is one of the most beautiful anywhere and is regarded as one of the 7 wonders of Oregon, and I can see why. Coming up on the famous Rowena turns, still spectacular even after 100 years. I made a quick stop at the Rowena viewpoint, drank some water, and put on more sunscreen. But the heat of the day was relentless and made the stop a quick one, and drove me to continue riding towards Mount Hood and camp. Unfortunately, I didn't stop in and take any more of the sights. It was 105 degrees and I was feeling the pressure to get to camp. Plus, it was right here when I got stung by a goat-sized yellow jacket right in the center of my forehead, making me look more like Manimal than anything else. I actually thought someone shot me in the head. It hurt that bad. I think he was flying away from me and I compressed all of his venom into my forehead at once. It was brutal. I just wanted to get to camp, take a long needed solar shower, and relax. However, with all that said, the views were not wasted on me. This is just spectacular country. I could see Mount Hood looming in the background, and I was getting closer to one of my favorite places from my childhood. When I was a kid, I rode the wheels off my little Honda Trail 70 on this exact road with my trusty dog tirelessly running by my side. It was a great time in my life, and it felt good to be back in the area once again. It felt like I had come full circle, riding another beloved bike on this same road. But I did feel the absence of my faithful little dog chasing me just for the love of it all. I don't know, but for me, there's a palpable energy to this particular area. It speaks to me. I don't know if it's just my personal history or something more powerful, but there's an energy here I feel to my core every time I visit. But I found an incredible camp up here. This is up right next to one of the trailheads. I can't remember the name of it. Got camp all dialed in, ready to cook. Everything's organized. Hit the wall today. Had to take a shower. Yeah, day 5 of 100 degrees and riding every day and all of that. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. I'm done. It's the final day and back to my everyday world. When I finally got back into cell phone coverage, I saw there was a voicemail from my mom telling me my grandmother had passed away during the night. She made it to 102. She definitely lived a life worth celebrating, but the news still hit me pretty hard. She was one of those people who was always there for me in my life, and the thought of not seeing her again troubled me. I think about her every day. In fact, she's responsible for getting me into photography, giving me an old Exacta camera system to start out with, just like the camera Jimmy Stewart used in the movie Rear Window. I owe her a lot, so I'd like to dedicate this ride and video to my grandmother. One of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. My route home took me through an area that ended up burning down just 2 years later. Thinking of my grandmother and looking at this footage has reminded me once again how important it is to take advantage of every moment and treasure each experience, because this river of life just keeps flowing no matter what we say or do, so we might as well float along with it and enjoy the world as it goes by, because that's the only time we will ever see the world like it is, because everything is ever changing, and that's a good thing as long as we pay attention. Well, that's about it for this journey. My first long trip on the Africa Twin, a bike that keeps impressing me more and more every time I ride it. I hope this video finds you well and possibly inspires you to get out there and explore your area of the world. Again, the best bike and gear for your trip is the one you have. Don't let it hold you back from getting out there and enjoying the world around you. Don't put off what you want to see in the world until tomorrow. Your time is now. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself.